Hey guys, it's Ghost57 coming at you from the power of YouTube through the internet itself. Okay guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to clone your old M.2 drive to a new one with this, the SABRENT cloning device. Stay tuned guys and I'll show you how to do it. And here is the device we're going to be using today, which is the SABRENT USB Type-C docking station for M.2 PCIe, NVMe 2.5 and 3.5 SATA SSD and hard drive. This has a couple cool features. First off, you can clone offline, so you don't even have to be plugged into the internet or a computer. And it does work for a plethora of operating systems. You got your Windows and your Mac, and I'm assuming Linux probably works as well. And there is your USB Type-C and the different sizes. This thing actually works pretty well. I used it in the past for a couple things. Today we're going to be using it for a different function. So for this device, since we don't have two M.2 ports, we only have one in the front, we're going to actually have to use that USB Type-C pretty much function of this device. We can't just go over here and hit offline clone because it only fits one 2.5, one 3.5, or one M.2. So I'm going to show you how you can actually use this device to clone your new M.2 from your old one. Stay tuned guys and we'll jump right into it. And here is our new M.2. So this one I actually got on Prime Day. Saved quite a bit of money on this one. I believe it was like $120, normally $200 for the 990 Pro Samsung. This thing gets extremely fast. You can see it right down there. And you know Samsung is very, very durable and probably lasts forever. So we're going to change this out on our laptop over here. This laptop only has a 1 terabyte SSD, which is also a Samsung one from factory. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade it with 1 more terabyte. So the first thing we want to do is actually get our SABRENT cloning device ready. We're going to do that before we get into the software, just so we just have to plug that in. So we'll go ahead and open up this brand new 99 Pro from Samsung. These things are extremely fast, especially on Prime Day. Got a pretty good deal on here. So we're going to go ahead and update that. So again, since you can only put one of each on here, we're going to pop this bad boy open right in front. The SABRENT has a little bit, like a little heat dissipator right in front with a thermal pad. So just make sure you take off that plastic because it does heat up when transferring data over. And you're going to see a little like tooth right there. You're going to make sure your gap is in between that, like so. And you'll just pry it in until you can't see any of that bronze anymore. Fits pretty snug in there, and flip it closed. And you're ready to start cloning. For this one, we're going to be using the cable that came with it, which is the Type-C to Type-C data cable and our power cord, of course. And we'll plug that into our laptop. And now, I'll go ahead and show you the rundown of the software that we're going to be using to actually clone this using the SABRENT cloning device with a different software that I like to use. So stay tuned guys and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I have the SABRENT plugged in. I'm just going to turn it on. When you turn it on, you can see your little power indicators turn on here. And we're just going to plug this into the Type-C on our laptop. Again, Type-C is pretty fast, but it could be faster if you did like M.2 directly on a PCIe to M.2. And the blinking light will indicate you're actually plugged into your laptop. So let's go ahead and jump into the laptop and I'll show you what we're going to be doing with our software aspect of it now that we're plugged in. Okay, so we're actually already in the software, so I'm going to go and exit this real fast. I'm going to be showing you the software we're going to be using. The software we're going to be using today is called Macrium Reflect. This software I've been using for quite some time for cloning many different things, and one of the best things that comes with it is actually a 30-day trial, so you don't have to buy it per se, but if you are going to be using it for, let's say, many other computers, maybe you should buy it to give them some kickback. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that software now. One thing I like to tell people before actually cloning a device is to make this process a little faster. What you can do is actually delete some of the video games off your computer. I already deleted pretty much all of them, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you are doing it for like a friend or something like that, you can let them know to speed up the process. You can go ahead and delete that. And the easiest way to do that is you'll go to your search bar and you can type uninstall and delete it from there. So we're going to go ahead and partition, or actually allocate the drive that is plugged in right now via the SABRENT. You can see it's already actually doing it automatically for me. You can see that it's clicking on it, and it wants to allocate this drive. Make sure it's set to GPT. That's going to be the kind of the drive format we want for this one for a new clone. Now it says unallocated. You can leave it like that, or you can also set as new volume. I'm going to go ahead and set this as a new volume now. Keep in mind you can also use this as like a external SSD as well if you want to. You can also switch your volume to whatever you want it to be, and the default settings for all these work just fine. So we're going to go ahead and allocate that and make it a new drive. Now that we have the drive set up to be actually readable by the software, we're going to go ahead and jump into the software now. So now we're going to jump into the cloning software. We're going to jump into Macrium Reflect. Here it goes. And as you see right there, everything's actually auto checked off. We do have the two drives right there. The primary drive, you can actually see everything's kind of full, and our secondary drive, the one we just is connected to our SABRENT cloning device. And it actually made a partition when I made the new drive volume. So we're going to go ahead and erase everything off of that. All we needed really to do was allocate that drive so the software actually sees it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to clone this drive. So we're going to hit clone. We're going to select the disk to clone, and that's going to be our drive 1. Keep in mind the majority of the time drive 0 is your C drive, and drive 1 it will be your secondary drive. So since it is partitioned, we're going to go ahead and just erase everything on there. It erases this by hitting that erase button. Now it's a pretty much brand new drive as it was from factory. And now we're going to hit next. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK there. And it's going to go ahead and start pretty much cloning itself. And on this next button, it's actually going to show you the 5 operations it's going to do. This shouldn't take too long since pretty much there's nothing on my primary drive. And we're going to hit OK here. And this is just letting you know that pretty much volume D will be completely erased. If you want to continue, you can hit the check mark and hit continue. That's just letting you know, everything on that file will be deleted. So if you have anything important on there, now's the time to pretty much clean it, copy it to a SSD or a USB or something like that, because that will be gone forever. And now we're going to go ahead and pretty much let it do its thing. This normally takes anywhere from 5 all the way up to 30 minutes depending what's on your drive. The SABRENT does a pretty good job with the Type-C USB, so I'm guesstimating maybe about 6 minutes, since we are using two M.2 NVMe's Gen 4, so those are pretty fast. So we're just bottlenecked with the USB Type-C. And we're going to go ahead and let that do its thing. And there you go. That's the way it looks when it's complete. You're going to see the time right there, which is 6 minutes, which is actually pretty fast. I just sped that up for y'all, but yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. Now that we have that cloned, what we're gonna do is just turn off our laptop, and today we're using the ROG ASUS Zephyrus G16, so it's pretty easy to get into. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do that, and hopefully when we power it back on with a new SSD, everything is there from our old computer. Okay guys, let's jump right into it. Okay, so the laptop we're actually using today is the G16 from ASUS. This is one of their ROG Zephyrus lines. As you see right here, these are extremely thin, super mobile workstations, are gaming computers. This one right here was the entry-level G16 with a 470, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 1 terabyte SSD NVMe. And we're going to update that to the 2 terabyte. They say this is the max you can get is 2 terabytes with this one, so we'll go ahead and update that since there was that such a good deal. And this one's actually using a Torx 6 to open it up. It's not just a regular, like a screwdriver head. This is actually a Torx head. And that's how small the screws are. This one's also actually pretty easy to work on. The only downfall of the new Zephyrus one, G16, is that the RAM is actually soldered to the motherboard this time. It's a faster type of RAM, but you can't upgrade it. The last Zephyrus line you could, and I mean, it does make it a little bit more slick and thinner, but 16 gigabytes of RAM in 2024, I don't know, that's enough to play games, but sometimes when doing video editing and stuff like that, sometimes you need a little bit more RAM. Or if you're just a hardcore multitasker using multiple 4K screens, that could also hinder your ability to do that. And right there on the side you can see this is actually a pretty long screw here. So just make a note of that. And see the one in the middle might be the same size. Yeah, so these are a little bit longer going across this way than the ones at the bottom. But you can see that this is all pretty much aluminum. It is actually all aluminum. So this is CNC aluminum all through this laptop. So it looks like these two are the longest. This one right here is also long, but just a different length. So just keep them in the right order. That's why your iFixit kit comes in handy. These are also pretty long in the back. So you can keep them in order with your iFixit tray. They should almost be ready to take off now. So the new 2024 Zephyrus does have extra screws right underneath these little rubber feet. So that's one. And these are all the same size, but don't try to start pulling it off until you get down here. Again, these also go in a certain direction, so just keep those to the side. And these are a little bit up. They're still the same Torx 6, so all these will be Torx 6. There's a length of those right there. Just gonna keep those together. And then the way to pull this apart is you want to make some space with like a sponger tool. This is what I'm going to be working with. Just want to make some space to get in there. Okay, so there's some space. Sometimes I like to come through here with my fingers as well. Since this is aluminum, you don't want to put too much pressure or prime pressure on it because you might actually warp that. There we go. Now we've got the back all pulled up, we'll go here to the side and just make some space, and there you go, it completely pops up. And just take your time on working on that. So this one's brand new, maybe a couple hours use of it. You can see October 29th, 2024, this is when this computer was actually manufactured and put together. Pretty new. And just like I was saying before, primarily the only thing we can actually change on here is going to be our SSD. So we're going to jump into that next. And this is actually pretty clean for a Windows-based computer. Very thin. Only sad part is that that RAM is soldered to the motherboard, just like in a MacBook. I would say if your PCB, your motherboard was black, this would probably be resembling a MacBook on the inside as well. You can see the 3 fans in there as well, as you can see that it's made for performance. So we're gonna get right over here. Your Wi-Fi card is here, and your SSD that we're gonna be changing out is right over here. This is just a regular Phillips screwdriver head. They keep these machines pretty clean. Okay, there we go. And we'll just take off this little sticker here. And you can see that this should be able to kind of pull out on its own, like so. So it looks like they have a little heat shield on the SSD with some other things. So this is actually a Western Digital drive. This whole time I've been saying a Samsung drive, so this will be a little bit of an upgrade, but this is also a Gen 4 M.2 SSD. So you get this little case to hold everything in place, like so, almost like a gum stick. So I want to keep this looking nice and stock, so I'm going to be putting this little shroud on top of the Samsung one. Here is our Western Digital, so we're just going to pull that out like so. This is just like a little heat covering. We don't need to take that off. This one has its own. We'll just pop that in here like so, and we're good to go. Keep it looking like stock. We do have a little bit of thermal paste down here to help dissipate that heat. We're just going to prop it in like so, and then we can push it down. So this is just another heat dissipator. See what's actually underneath this. This is going to be the name of the drive, WD PC SSD, and this is the Gen 4. So you can put this on yours if you want to, just for like a little bit of heat resistant or heat transfer paper. You can do that, or you can just keep it on here. I'm just going to keep it on here. I think we should be just fine. And another cool thing is the back of the case is actually aluminum, so that might actually help with some heat dissipation. So now that you have your M.2 SSD in place, we'll grab that screw again, and we'll put everything back together. And just like that, you just installed a brand new M.2 2TB SSD in your computer. Saved me a couple $100, especially if you don't want to upgrade to the 3080 version or 4080 version of this one. I don't think this thin profile would actually do good with a 3080. You do get that optional 32 gigabytes of RAM, but then you're looking at closer to $500 to $650 upgrade. So we're just going to keep this one here and upgrade the 2TB drive and use it as that. Okay, so we're going to put the back of the computer back together and see if that actually fixed it, guys. Let's see what happens. And when you put the G16 back together, you just kind of press on it. You'll hear it clip in place. Make sure your holes are aligned, and there you go. Everything's clipped back together. We'll put those screws back. And like I was saying, the good thing about the iFixit kit is it comes with a nice tray to keep your tools nice and organized, your screws nice and organized. So we're going to start off with those one that had the rubber feet on there. And the last one. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip this around and let's turn it on. Okay, that's a good sign. Let's see if we get the Ghost 57 background. A moment of truth. It's always kind of stressful when transferring data over. Sometimes it can corrupt it. But there you go, guys. Just like that, we are good to go. Our clone works as it should. Everything's up and running as it should. So yeah, so if you have any questions or concerns, please leave them down below. But this was a cloning of an M.2 to M.2 with this SABRENT cloning device and Macrium Reflect as a software to use. Keep in mind you do have a 30-day, not a 90-day, 30-day trial of that. And if you like it so much, might as well give them some support and buy the full version. Anyways, guys, that was Ghost 57 coming at you from the proud YouTube through the internet south. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next one. Ghost 57 out. Goodbye for now, friends.